Hey, you guys, you are watching Alex and Andy live with Shanghai Daily, coming to you from Shanghai, China, which is currently under a bit of a staggered lockdown, I guess you could call it, over a resurgence in COVID-19. It's currently, as you can see from that view of Lujiazui, it's raining here. We're currently on 14 degrees Celsius and had a bit of a thunderstorm today, and it's likely looking to be the same tomorrow. Alex, how's your day been?
Not bad. Yeah, the weather turned for the worse today, but then again, it's immaterial to me and you, because we're inside regardless. But yeah, it was a fine day. I did get some food through a Twango. I was able to do that through a group buy, so sort of replenished some of my food stock there. Beyond that, just kind of hung around in bed and didn't do a whole lot today. Didn't get much done. Yourself?
Pretty much the same. Actually, I caught up on The Simpsons. I don't know if you're a Simpsons fan, but
Yes.
I was wanting a bit of a taste of home, I guess. Even though I'm not American, Simpsons was a huge thing growing up in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So today I found the 30th episode online on Sohu, which was really cool. Watched that for free today, so that was pretty cool. Like you said, it was a bit of a day for staying in bed today. I'll bring up Shanghai's weather. There we go, not looking good. I mean, I don't mind it, but about 14 degrees Celsius currently and raining quite heavily. So it's looking to be about the same tomorrow. So yeah, maybe another day in bed tomorrow, Alex.
Yeah, it's a dreary weather. Like I was saying before, since the beginning of the lockdown at the end of March and beginning of April, the weather's been really beautiful. We had some of those perfect spring days that we do get here in Shanghai from time to time. And then, of course, yesterday it got up, I think, to 35 or 36 Celsius. So it's pretty
Yeah, it
hot.
was really.
Took a deep dive today as I guess a cold front blew in, and so we've got a bit of a rainy, cloudy, foggy sort of day today. But that's fine. Again, we're inside anyway. I just feel bad for the people out there driving around in it. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. But at least they're outside, so yeah, you know what? I don't mind that much for them. But
Sure, yeah, no.
yeah, like Alex said yesterday, it got really hot, 35, and then today suddenly jumped down to 14. So yeah. Anyway, let's look at the numbers today, Alex. New COVID-19 cases for the city from yesterday. Not good news. Yesterday we reported that numbers had fallen about 10.5%, but the latest figures for Tuesday, April 20. They've climbed again, and the new numbers are higher than have ever been before, very slightly. But yeah, yesterday we had 1,189 new symptomatic cases here in Shanghai, plus 25,141 new asymptomatic cases. That brings us to a total of 26,330. Now, the previous high, the day before yesterday, was 26,078. So marginally higher. What do you think of those numbers, Alex?
Well, we're seeing a bit of a wavering. Obviously, yesterday looked to be an encouraging sign, as we did have a slight decrease in terms of the total number of cases, where today, for some reason, I can't speculate as to why, but the number is right back up to where it was on Monday, right? 2 days ago.
Right. Yeah.
So that's, I'm not really sure what to make of that, to be totally honest with you. I can't really speculate on it too much. I guess we're just sort of in a wavering stage, up and down. I think really at this point, we're going to sort of have to wait and see what the numbers look like over the next 5 to 7 days before I think we really sort of can begin to analyze the trends in the numbers, or even identify the trends really as far as what exactly is going on with these numbers, because I'm really not sure what to make of it.
Yeah, it is a bit perplexing, but we do have a few details here, as usual. Out of the 1,189 new symptomatic cases, the first 867 were tested positive while in central quarantine. About another 200 or 300 tested positive during the screening of high-risk people. And about another 20 or so were previous asymptomatic infections. So here again, like every day, we're looking at the a graph representation of the numbers. Like I mentioned before, yesterday's numbers ever so slightly higher than our previous high, which was the day before yesterday. So we're looking at an all-time high. So yeah, still not out of the woods.
No, absolutely not. I'm sure, looking at the shape of that graph, we can we can see that, we're going to need to see some downward trends, not just one day like we had yesterday, before we can start to feel more confident about sort of opening the city back up. So again, not sure what to make of it, but we'll have to see what happens over the next, I would say, 5 to 7 days in my non-expert opinion. But I think that we'll wait 5 to 7 more days and really sort of start to analyze those trends once we see them.
Exactly. I think it's important what Alex alluded to there. Alex and I we're working with Shanghai Daily. We're in no means epidemiologists, so these are just our opinions on the trends we're seeing here with the numbers. So yeah, we are confused because we are not epidemiologists. We're just watching the numbers go up, hoping they'll come down very soon. Now I'm going to quickly read some comments that have come through on YouTube. Mark Hua says, "Hi Alex and Andy. Hello everyone." Hello Mark. Jamie Rowe asks an interesting question. I wonder if you can help me, he asks. What exactly is happening in Shanghai concerning something I saw on Twitter with everyone screaming in Shanghai? Now, this is quite interesting. I'm going to give my take, and then, Alex, you can say what you think. I think it's to do with letting out steam. Everyone lives in collective sort of, apartments with thousands of people. Like we saw the other day with our guest Ian, who's a drummer. He went out smashing his drums, and it was a real way for people just to let out some emotion, scream at the top of their lungs. I don't think it's a sign like you're seeing a lot of reports online that people are going crazy, stir crazy, they have cabin fever. I don't think so. I think it's quite innocent, just a way for people to let out their tensions. But Alex, what do you think?
Well, I would say in my neighborhood, we had a sort of a concert as well, and people seem to be letting out positive emotions. I have heard a couple of times, I live with several apartment buildings in the area, and I have heard a couple of times a person or two screaming, maybe perhaps out of frustration. It's natural to feel frustrated in this particular time. As I've been mentioning throughout the course of this, we're social creatures, even those of us who are introverted, but especially people like myself who are the opposite. Really sort of, it can be frustrating, and maybe stick your head out the window and let out a primal holler. There's nothing preventing you from doing that. And, I would advise don't do it at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you know what I'm saying? But, I don't know. People are frustrated. Maybe, we know that there were some issues in terms of logistics of food about a week ago, a week and change ago. It could be that people were concerned about where their next meal was. So look, we all know this. I don't need to tell our viewers this, at least those of us in Shanghai, but during a lockdown, a lot of people have to have a lot of things to worry about, be it their income, be it their families, be it they're worried about getting sick, be it many other things. And so those frustrations can build up. And I think we just might have seen a bit of a sort of a collective release of that. Once one thing starts, another thing starts, sort of like a wave effect. And I think that was just sort of caught on camera. But I don't think that people are going insane per se, but my take on it.
No. And I do actually particularly remember seeing, similar videos coming from the West at the beginning of 2020, especially Italy. And a lot of people were screaming out, not just screaming, also doing similar things that we're seeing here in Shanghai, like having concerts on the veranda, loud music, dancing, whatever people can do to get by. It's not fun to be under lockdown. As Alex mentioned, there are problems here in Shanghai, logistical issues with food. It's not the easiest at the moment to grab new supplies. So yeah, people are letting out their frustrations. I don't think it's the sign of a sign of the city falling apart. But let's move to another quick question here. This is an interesting one as well. Hung Tua says, "Greetings, comrades. News reports say that certain areas, I guess you're talking about Shanghai, are opened up already. They are locking down in accordance with the level of infections in different districts." Yes, that is true. I will bring up the graph we made yesterday, which shows, it's not so much a graph, shows the levels here. Alex, do you want to explain?
Yeah, so currently, as has been implemented in recent days, there are 3 levels to the lockdown. Obviously, up until very recently, there was 1 level to the lockdown that would be lockdown. But now they have planned with mass testing everyone, all 25.6 million residents in the city, multiple times. They've now implemented a sort of a 3-step plan to being able to get outside your apartment. The red area means that there's been a COVID-19 case in your xiaoqu, or in your sort of compound residential complex. over the past 7 days, which means that we must remain locked down for at least 7 more days since the last case, plus an additional 7 days where we have to stay in the neighborhood and not actually go out on the street. If you had no cases in the last 7 days, but have in the last 14, which is what I just alluded to there, you can go downstairs, for example, walk your dog, maybe get some sunshine in your neighborhood. Obviously, avoid gatherings and try to stay 2 meters away from anyone that doesn't live in the same house as you, but you can at least go downstairs and walk around. Once that number reaches 14 days, then you can leave your compound and move around your sub-district, which is just an area of a few blocks by a few blocks. And you can go, hopefully there might be some stores, convenience stores, or even a small supermarket open in that area that you can restock on goods, and maybe a drugstore where you can get some medicine or anything like that without having to wait for a driver or wait for a group buy for that kind of thing. So that's sort of where we are right now. Obviously, Andy and I are both still in the red, unfortunately. I think I speak for the both of us, where today is April the 13th. So that would be our 13th day where we haven't really been able to go anywhere at all. I know a lot of our friends here in Shanghai, especially in Pudong, have been locked down for longer than that, right? I know someone who's, I think today's day 32 or 33, Andy. How about you? Do you know anyone who's been locked down that long?
Well, I heard actually today that there have been people who have been locked down for 40 days, 40. So there are different areas in Shanghai since this outbreak began early March that have been locked down pretty much since then. So, for us, 13 days, I think we're in the lucky side, to be quite honest, and we need to be prepared for much longer. So yeah, that is the 3 areas. Thank you for that question. Another comment from Kevin James Ng, who says, hello, Andy, Alex, and the team at Reports on China and Shanghai Daily. Hello. Another important question here that a lot of people are asking. I'm sorry, I don't know how to read the name. It's probably not a real name, but anyway, they ask, why is China panicking over COVID? Everyone in the world is befuddled with Omicron and vaccines. It is reported to be milder than a cold for most people. Why the panic in China? Now, this is the million-dollar question. Obviously, there are a lot of factors to take into account, but I think China's stance from the very beginning has been to stick with zero COVID. They don't want any deaths whatsoever. So, yeah, that is just the path China is on presently. And also, I'd like to point out that, some people are saying Omicron is milder than a cold, but also there's a lot of figures that show that's not the case. So me personally, like I said before, we're not epidemiologists. No. I don't have an answer, but this is the path China's taking. So that's what we're sticking to for now. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't really have an answer to that question. I am not the person to answer that question. So I'm just going to pass on that one.
Nice. Okay, right. Someone was talking about, I saw a comment here about the makeshift hospitals that have gone up around Shanghai to deal with the asymptomatic cases. Now, in case you don't know, anyone who tests positive for COVID, whether they're symptomatic or asymptomatic, needs to head into central quarantine. So there is currently 230,000 active cases in Shanghai. That means that all of those people are currently staying in central quarantine. So the National Exhibition and Convention Center is about to complete its entire conversion into a huge makeshift hospital that will be able to accommodate 50,000 beds. So there are 8 pavilions out there. Numbers 3 to numbers 8 have all been completed, while number 1 and 2 are about to be complete. So we have a report here that was filed by a Xinhua news agency reporter who is showing us around. Let's take a look at that now, and then we'll come right back.
潘旭，现在是4月12日的晚上10点钟。那么我们现在是在上海的国家会展中心，这边呢也被称为四叶草，而我们现在所在的是四叶草的1号馆。那么在此之前呢，我们已经给大家报道过了，这边正在被改建成一个可容纳约5万张床位的一个方舱医院，而这边1号馆和2号馆是最后的2个将被改建完成的展馆。在此之前，3号、4号、5号、6号和7号、8号已经相继的完工，并且是交付，而且已经开始接收患者了。那么我们现在先来看一下，现场这个1号馆和2号馆的一个施工情况。从画面当中大家可以看到，它的这个进度基本上已经是完成了啊，尤其是这边还有专门为65岁以上老年人所设置的这个床位，而在前面啊还有专门为儿童设置的这个亲子舱的这个区域。 看到这个盆里啊，给大家看一下，有毛巾，有杯子啊，还有这个拖鞋啊、口罩、肥皂、牙刷，然后洗手液啊，基本上都是一些日常的用品啊。这边还有台灯、被子，然后这个床还比较有意思啊，是高低铺的啊。这边因为是亲子区吧。那么这整个四叶草呢，一共是4片叶子8个展馆啊。根据它们的特点，有的是盖了1层，有的是盖了2层，共分了14个区域呢。每个区域在3000多张床位，所以说一共啊有望是达到5万张床位。我们现在是一个人体的360度旋转，给大家看一下每个展馆它大概在3000多张床位。这边的护士站也基本上要完工了啊。看门口还有非常有意思的这个机器人，可以帮助运送物资。现场呢，我们是看到工作人员正在做最后的扫尾的工作。刚才我们在外面也看到了3区2通道也已经基本上的建成，然后还有很多的这个我们的施工人员，我们的工人在大批的拿着自己的行李在撤离。这也就意味着这边距离交付已经指日可待了。也就是说，一旦1号馆和2号馆交付的话，那我们整个四叶草的8个展馆将全部完工，并且投入运营。
Oh, so there you go. That is one of the locations in Shanghai that will be able to house or look after 50,000 people at any one time. And that comes to a question we just received from Li Chang, who asked, at daily 25,000 positive tests, are they not running out of central quarantine space? Actually, I think they are, and that is why we're seeing so many places being refurbished and put into use. The situation in Shanghai tends to be that, we've talked about it before, that they're refurbishing or rejigging, I guess you could say, existing locations like that National Convention and Exhibition Center, as opposed to what you saw in Wuhan in 2020, where a lot of the quarantine hospitals were fangtang, those sort of, what's it called?
Makeshift.
In English?
Makeshift
hospitals. Yeah. So, Alex, what do you think?
Well, like what you said, they are refurbishing a lot of places, repurposing large facilities, like the Expo Center downtown. Obviously, this place is huge. This is where they had the CIIE, which I guess is the China International Import Expo, or whatever, something like that.
Right.
There's a giant expo. Yeah, which happened recently, and it was there. So this building is really a giant, massive building. Obviously, it can house 50,000 residents temporarily during quarantine. It seems to be better. Obviously, they're providing some basic necessities. Of course, if you do end up getting sent there, if you get the notification that we don't want to get, that you do need to go to central quarantine, make sure to bring more things. Do not obviously depend on them to have all the daily necessities that you'll need throughout your stay. You might be there for a week, you might be there for 2, you might be there for more if things don't go as well as we would all hope. And so make sure you prepare, more things, than don't just depend on the little things that they've got. But at least I guess at least they're giving us something here. That's good.
Yeah, it's true. You will need to bring anything you need for yourself. For example, cell phone, laptop, chargers, snacks. You will be provided with 3 healthy meals every day, which is great, but you will need to bring any snacks you want and so on. Just have a look at some more questions. Robert A. points out, in the West, elderly are still dying from this virus. I think that is one of the issues here in China, because while the vaccination rate is quite high, it is the same situation as in a lot of the world, and that is that many of the elderly population who are the most vulnerable have not yet gone ahead and got vaccinated. So that's an issue here. Kevin asks a question: if there's people locked down in office buildings, are there people locked down in office buildings, or have they relocated to their homes? People were given warning for the lockdown, so no one was stuck per se in their offices, but there are people who are choosing to stay in offices during the lockdown, including some crew of Shanghai Daily who are living in the office and putting together the newspaper every day. So great question, James.
And also as you check out the image that we've got there, or the footage that we've got there of Lujiazui, which is the Shanghai Pudong Financial Hub. It's also
Right.
the home of the Shanghai Stock Exchange. And so there are a lot of traders, brokers, and other people who manage the Shanghai Stock Exchange, which is the biggest in the country. And those people were called to their offices before Pudong went into lockdown, over 2 weeks ago, to maintain the smooth running of the stock exchange and financial markets here in Shanghai, to make sure that didn't go haywire during this time, and it hasn't. So kudos to them for doing that.
Yeah, very important point, because Shanghai is, of course, not just an important financial district, a city rather, for China, but also for the entire world. So that is still running. As Alex said, people are sleeping there at the stock exchange, which is, all power to them. Here's a comment from Starhawk in Singapore, and they say that they have about 87% of a fully vaccinated population, and that the government there have already declared COVID-19 as an endemic, and we are moving into coexisting phase. When will China do the same? As we mentioned before, no plans at this point. China is marching forward with zero COVID, and we'll just have to see what the future holds. And there was another comment here. Now this one, Mr. Canadian says more people have died because of these lockdowns than from COVID itself. Now, that is technically true, I guess. Nobody has died from COVID in this current outbreak here in Shanghai, but there have been a couple of people who you could argue died because of complications, medical issues, where they couldn't find help. But yeah, thanks for your comment. Now, I want to show you guys our next video, which is still talking about these temporary hospitals. There's a building in Huangpu district, actually, which was converted into a makeshift hospital yesterday. It's the first of its kind, actually. Alex, have you heard about this?
No, go ahead, tell me.
Well, there's a 17-story office building in Huangpu district that has been turned into a temporary hospital for asymptomatic COVID patients with 3,650 beds, which is, quite interesting. And apparently they have a really nice riverside view. So let's take a look at that video and we'll come back in.
Okay, let's check it out.
Shanghai 真的是我们的第二故乡。如果说上海不好，我们企业也顶不住啊。所以我觉得，只要是政府有需要，我们是一定没想太多，大家都没有意见啊。因为我们实实际际是在上海这么多年，公司28年了，确实上海养育了我们。特别期待能够早一点迎来春天，迎来恢复。
What do you think of that makeshift hospital, Alex?
Oh, interesting. I mean, obviously it's got a nice view. I mean, a nice view is not going to cure anybody of COVID, but it's better than having, better than the alternative. I would say that's part of it. The other thing is, I think that we're going to continue to see, as far as we continue to go down the path of zero COVID, and as far as the numbers continue to be, even if they don't necessarily rise. I mean, 25,000 a day is 25,000 a day, and that's, given what's happening, given the current policy, that's 25,000 people that need to be quarantined somewhere. And so, as the number of people who test positive and need to be sent to a central quarantine exceeds the number of people who are being released from central quarantine, that obviously creates a situation where more beds and more spaces are going to be needed. And so, if that continues, I would expect to continue to see more buildings, be it office buildings, be it maybe stadiums or other things. I'm just speculating here. I don't know, but I would expect to see more places repurposed if the current trend continues to be the case in the future.
Right, and I think it's important to remember that the numbers seem to not be abating. So, as we mentioned at the start of the show, today there was a total of 26,330 cases reported for yesterday. That is the daily number, and that is the highest we've seen during this outbreak here in Shanghai. So obviously, if you just look at Tuesday, April 12th, where these numbers are from, 26,330 people who need to be added into the central quarantine system. So like Alex said, we're going to need to be, at the moment, while the numbers going in are higher than those coming out, we're going to need to be refurbishing more and more areas, getting other places ready. So that is why this building in Huangpu district is such a unique and interesting story. Hopefully, if the need is still there, we'll see more situations like this in the future. And like Alex said, it's not ideal to be going into quarantine, but it looks like at least those people there will have a nice view in Huangpu, so good on them. Now, a quick comment from John Lee, who said, "Good evening, first time watching you live." John, welcome, thank you so much. Alex, can you see any comments on our Shanghai Daily WeChat?
On our WeChat?
Oh, you're not watching? I'll take a look.
You gotta let me know in advance. I'll take a look.
Somebody said on the WeChat group they saw the screaming video too. Yeah, I think everybody's seen it. Yeah, and they said, guess they are just releasing some pressure. And Ben Zhang says, good evening, Andy and Alex. So yeah, thank you for the comments, everyone, whether you're watching on the Shanghai Daily WeChat group, the Shanghai Daily Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or Reports on China on YouTube. Keep the comments coming in, and we will try to bring up your comments and questions. And for the time being now, I'm going to play another video like we were just talking about a minute ago. The number of those going into central quarantine is currently higher than those coming out. But we do have really good news in terms of children patients. There were 39 children who were released from which quarantine site? From the Shanghai New International Expo Center. So 39 children released today after receiving treatment of about a week. So really good news. Obviously, 39 is a drop in the bucket considering we're seeing 25,000 a day, but we've still got to hold on to these good stories. So yeah, let's check out that video and we'll be right back.
感觉还挺好的，就是说本身武汉来的医生，然后我们实院的医生都挺照顾的。
谢谢医生。
目前呢，对于奥密克戎这样一个病毒株，它对的小孩的这个传播力比较强，这样的一个特点，我们成立了亲子方舱。在方舱里面呢，我们的建设也考虑到孩子的成长和学习。我觉得这是我们做的力所能及的，在有限的条件下为孩子提供最大的这样的一个学习、生活、成长的环境。
比如小年龄儿，我们会给他们提供一些尿片呐、奶粉啊、零食呀。那么年长儿的话呢，我们会给他们提供一些自习室，方便他们上网课。那么还对一些学龄前期的儿童，我们会给他们发放一些书本呀、绘画呀。让他们呢在这里面能够有一定的自由的空间，也和玩伴一起共同的游戏和画画。
So there we have some 39 children released from central quarantine. Good news. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, of course. Anytime someone is released from central quarantine, that's good news for them and their families. But yeah, obviously that's a good thing. We were happy to announce several days ago that the policy of separating children from their parents was revoked, and parents are allowed to accompany their children to central quarantine, regardless of whether or not the parents tested positive or negative. Now, so it's good that those children were able to be spending that time with their parents, but it's also even better to see that they are now virus free and able to return home, because home is always a better place to be than in quarantine, for sure.
For sure. And I think it's worth adding that obviously Shanghai is still under lockdown, so they'll be staying at home. But if Shanghai wasn't under lockdown, they would be heading home for a further 7 days mandatory home quarantine. which means they will need to monitor their health for the 7 days, twice a day, doing self-temperature checks and reporting any symptoms that may come up. So yeah, good news to see those guys out, and hopefully we will soon see a day when the numbers are coming out surpass the numbers going in. But at the moment, that's not the case. So I'll remind you again, the numbers for Tuesday, April 12, were all-time high here in Shanghai, 26,330. The previous high before that was Sunday the 10th, which was 26,070. So very slightly higher than the previous high. Obviously, still in a crucial stage, Alex.
Yeah, definitely. It's just we've been in sort of a crucial state for the last several days now, or obviously even more than that. Obviously, as the city went into first partial lockdown, and then that developed into a full lockdown once April 5th hit, and the partial lockdown was unable to conclude at that juncture. Now, so again, we saw an uptick 2 days ago, a downturn yesterday, and now it's returned today to where it was 2 days ago. And again, I'm not sure what to make of that, but we're just going to have to stay keep our eyes fixed to the numbers and see what we can glean from that information as in the coming days, and just be hopeful that we crest over the hill and head down the other side.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that day 17 today of our broadcast. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We will keep coming to you every evening at 7:30 p.m. Beijing time, while the lockdown continues. Right now, we're looking at Shanghai's famous Lujiazui financial district. Now, if you've been to Shanghai before, you'll know that this is one of the most famous sites to see, and this is as viewed from the Bund side. Currently, it is raining in Shanghai and about 14 degrees Celsius. Now, I think it's time for a little bit of a I keep saying midterm, like we're running for the presidency or something. It is a mid-show break time. Alex, we're going to watch one of the live performances from one of our Shanghai residents who helped us in our online concert. Now, this was this guy. I'm not sure if you know who we're playing tonight, but he was one of the favorites of. How do you say his name?
He said Kiran.
Kiran, the Irish guy. Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our boss, Chichi, if you're watching, this one is for you. We'll be right back.
A proud poet and patriot, you love the sash in your mystery guru, in those letters from Lancash. Been to your home, the four winds, and there you were found. I can't even imagine the card you were dealt. Oh, we singing soldiers, and we were born to lead. Yeah, we singing soldiers, amidst our singing minds, we find peace. Yeah, my boy, red and short, give me advice. Said some birds are meant to be caged because their wings are much too bright. And when they fly away, you realize that we living soldiers, and we were born to lead. Oh, we sitting soldiers, amidst our sinning minds, we find peace. Amidst our sinning minds, we find peace. Yeah, before Dad died, he had a glint in his eye. I'm not saying he wanted to die, but it's like he lived and lived and lived and survived. And so deeply reflecting on this beautiful life, we're leading soldiers, and we were born to lead. Now we're leading soldiers. Amidst our sinning minds, we find peace. Amidst our sinning minds, we find peace. Oh, amidst our sinning minds, we find peace.
Very nice performance there from
Ron.
how do you say it? Yes.
Yeah.
An Irish singer.
Really
living
enjoyed
here.
his performance. I thought he has a great voice, and he seemed like a cool guy when we were chit-chatting with him. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed him. He was great.
Yeah, really cool. Now we're looking at some footage from today in Shanghai because, of course, a lot of the city had to go downstairs, go outside for nucleic acid testing. And of
Right.
course, as I mentioned before, it's raining currently in Shanghai and has
Yeah.
pretty much been raining all day. So people here is footage of people bearing the weather and heading out. Good on them. Did you have to go out for a COVID test today, Alex?
Did this morning, and I stayed up a little bit late last night. I was a little bit sleepless last night, so I was watching movies up pretty well past midnight. And so when they knocked on the door at 9 a.m., I was not really thrilled about it. I was sort of just like, but looking back, it wasn't raining yet, and so it really wasn't. Yeah, so it wasn't raining yet, and so I guess I don't know if they did that on purpose. They wanted to get everyone tested before it was raining, or again, I live in a really large compound, so I presume they were probably testing the majority of the day. So maybe I was just lucky to get out there in the morning. I wasn't thrilled about it at first, but it looks like, given what the weather looks like now, or has the rest of the day, it was probably for the best.
Yeah, for sure. But you can see people here having to bring down umbrellas and stuff,
Yeah.
all for the cause, obviously. But yeah, I didn't have to do a nucleic acid test today, so that was good. I just stuck with the home kit. Not sure what that means. I've given up trying to decipher what it all means. But I have kept an eye on the last cases that were in my compound, and that is still the 10th. So I'm still on track to be able to walk around the district on the 24th of April. I think you're the same, Alex.
I am. Last reported case was in the building next door to mine on the 10th. And so let's see, today's the 13th. So that would mean that by the 17th, or maybe the 18th, I would be able to at least go downstairs and walk around outside, which is something I'm looking forward to. Our compound has a big central area with some picnic tables and some areas. Just kind of, I would like to just sit in the sunshine, and even if I'm just reading a book or having a cold lemonade or something like that, that would be nice because, I haven't gotten any sunshine in a while.
Hold on, Alex. We'll be there soon. I guarantee it. But yeah, we do have one colleague, obviously, who is out and about, Zhou Shengjie, or Jack, who has filed another report today, where he interviewed I think he interviewed a delivery guy. So at the moment, there is obviously not enough delivery people working on the streets, getting all our orders done. But the ones that are facing quite a tough job. So we had a chat. Well, Jack had a chat with one of them today. Let's watch that video now, and then when we come back, I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about it.
Yep.
316，是不316你要先拿吗？美团还是就是你刚刚写的30单的那个？316不拿。
不是这一个，我现在还差我这边一圈的，我看一下还差哪几个？
现在拿几个？
还309
多吗？现在要拿的
2，
等我一下，我记。
好。
我都从手机上接的。其实手机上单价就是也可以的，有的看的单价很高，你知道吧？你接不了，因为你买不到东西。
买不到东西。
对，因为平常我们都是时间长了，就是单价低一点，我们就是10点钟都跑到夜里12点1、2点，知道吧？一天也挣个500-600块钱。但是那个就是不停的跑，但这个呢就是不停的找店。
这里是不停的找店，
对，不停的去找菜，帮人找什么油盐酱醋茶、大米面粉，关键我面粉我都没买到过。比如有的客人他会下，就是说要的东西，比如有10样，知道吧？你能给他买一半或者一少半，他这个单子就算完成了。因为其实顾客也理解，知道吧？你能买多少算多少。那确实买不到，那也没办法，对吧？像有的单子我要送个好几次，就是我在这里碰到这个，然后给你送过去，我又往那个方向走，又碰到那个，好，我再给你送过来。就像你饿了，对吧？你非要一定要有饭有菜有茶有什么？我给你饭，你饿了你什么也吃。
有什么东西人家下了单到现在你从来没买到过的？
从来没买到过的，
也经常看到，但是从来没买到过。
那就麦当劳。比如说我那天没吃饭啊，下午大概4、5点钟嘛，我说能不能给我来2盘？我说没吃饭了，他说不行，
一定要线上。
会一定要线上，关键线上进，我就在旁边点，就点不了，
根本上不了，
进不去。因为不是说嘛，他上线30秒钟就爆单了。
这2天在外面自己吃饭怎么搞？
昨天1天没吃饭，最后被朋友要了一包方便面，干啃了一下。
干啃方便面。
对，然后就是平常就是1天1顿饭。你想跑单的时候忙的，就是以前的时候，比如说路边随便买点包子啊什么垫一下，现在路边你自己都碰不到。
你说大家都打地铺睡觉，在哪些地方？
比如说公厕，就路边这个挡风能挡雨的，要不就是桥洞。
因为这2天全这样。
我都几天了，都1个多礼拜了，都快10天了。
那衣服了什么呢？就是被子呢？
被子啊，被子，比如假如在这儿睡觉，你放这边又没人拿的，你的被子也没人拿的，对吧？你不像以前。
你昨晚睡哪里呢？
昨晚，昨晚就是路边，
就路边。
对。
这单要送到哪里去？
这单要送到这个，从这个瑞华公园要先送先送这个。这个呢是一个包买单，要绕一圈之后找到东西之后才会送回来。要从这个常熟路这边，常熟路、元庆路，从这边绕一圈之后再回来这个陕西南路271。要送到这里。
那这些单要多少时间里面送的？还要有要求吧？
目前现在呢是没有要求，就是只要你能送到就可以。要平常的话，这是要产生罚单的。但现在特殊情况嘛，平台也比较人性化。
Wow.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't really know what to say about that, Alex. What are your thoughts?
That's crazy. So I know obviously these guys are working really, really, really hard and under extremely difficult circumstances. It's really on their backs, or on their wheels, I should say, that we're able to get a lot of the things delivered. If you are getting things delivered, whether it be it through, I don't know, I guess a group buy might be on trucks, but any sort of orders that you are able to complete, these guys are zipping all around the city, and obviously they're not living under awesome conditions right now. I think that maybe because of the current lockdown measures, to where, you know, if you're in, you're in, if you're out, you're out. And so I didn't have any idea that they would they would have to sleep outside or on the street or anything like that. I was assuming that they would have some place that they could go to. So it's really, yeah, you hate to hear that. You know, I hope that they're staying safe.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I also had no idea. That is, yeah, but it makes sense. Like you said, with the lockdown, people can't go in or out of small communities. So probably those guys, in order to do their work, and they've been given special permission to do so, to leave their compounds, it's going to be the case that their compound or their xiaoqu is not going to want to let them back in, because that would be a weak point, probably a point where they may be worried about infection coming into the community. So those guys, obviously, yeah, terrible situation, obviously having to sleep outside, especially now that it's raining here in Shanghai. So I hope something can be done. Maybe somebody can set up some kind of center for those guys to sleep in, or somebody can open up.
And we know they're doing COVID tests every day, because that's the requirement for their job.
Yeah.
Is, you know, obviously sending goods and items from place to place all around the city. You know, if they weren't being tested every day, they would be a weak point in the system, and it would be, you know, they would be potentially spreaders of the virus. But they're tested constantly. I know at least once a day. I assume in many cases more often than that. And so at least, yeah, you would like to see them having a little bit better living conditions than just on the side of the road. That's really not great.
And he said he didn't even have anything to eat for a whole day yesterday, and ate dry instant noodles. So that is not a good situation. Obviously, something needs to be done ASAP to fix this story. Mark says
that's really important work. So yeah,
very important. Well, that's what Kevin has said. Hope the delivery guys get free fuel for their scooters. Actually, they're all electric. I did see another comment from. Anyway, Kevin put another comment up before saying that these guys are national heroes. It is, you know, they are keeping the city running to a limited capacity. Obviously, there's not enough deliveries being made, but those who are out there making the deliveries are living through, obviously, as you just saw, terrible circumstances. So, yeah, I'm thinking, and I will be thinking of them tonight in the rain. Not an ideal situation.
Definitely not. Yep. Well, we hope that they stay safe. Don't catch a cold or something like that. I know that's a whole other thing. I forgot that existed, I think, almost. But yeah, make sure that they I want them to make sure that, you know, until a better situation can be found for them, make sure that they stay safe, and we thank them for their hard work.
Oh, definitely. I did see one positive, if you could call it that, in that story that actually, to be quite honest, blew me away. Is that the delivery riders at the moment don't have the huge pressure that they normally have to deliver things on time. So normally here in China, the delivery riders need to deliver their orders and pick up their orders, deliver their orders in a certain time frame. Otherwise, they will be fined, you could call it, here. They'll lose some of the money from the delivery. But he just said actually that at the moment that's not happening. So that's really good news. And he's able to earn 500 or 600 kwai a day.
Yeah, normally you see the drivers under normal times, you know, when lockdown is not in effect, you see them zipping in and out of traffic. Most of them follow the traffic rules, but a lot of them don't. And they're really on their horse, just trying to get from place to place. And you know, it can be a little bit dangerous from time to time because they're under so much pressure. But it's good to see they're already under enough pressure as it is. And so it's good to see these platforms and delivery services waive these times. And these fines or pay dockings of drivers if they for whatever reason are unable to. I mean, obviously they're under a lot of pressure right now. You know, we can't be so picky in terms of the things that we get. We all know that. Anyone living in Shanghai, you know, has come to understand over the last few weeks that we can't be normally as picky and choosy about the products that we get as we normally might be in a city with so much to offer. It's a bit different right now, and so we shouldn't be too demanding of these delivery drivers during this time, because as you can clearly see, they're also having a really, really rough go of it as well.
Right, yeah, the situation. Anyway, let's check out some comments on our WeChat group. Somebody said, 没有字幕差评. This is 直播. This is a live broadcast. We don't have 字幕. Sorry.
Sorry.
Someone said, That's ridiculous. No place to stay. Yeah, it is ridiculous. Another person said, hats off to the delivery men. Yeah, a lot of respect coming in the comments for those delivery guys. And sorry to leave you guys on a depressing note, that is all we have for today. So yeah, speaking of delivery guys, and we'll give you guys this lovely view of rainy 14°C Shanghai. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Everybody stay safe, stay sane. We'll have another look at the numbers tomorrow. Hopefully we see a smaller figure than we did today.
Okay, you guys. See you then.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.